What is poppin', y'all? Welcome back to another YouTube video. Today we're taking a look at another film review, and today we're taking a look at Alien Romulus. I am going to be talking about a couple of other Alien movies, the first Alien one, Alien and Predator. I'm also going to be taking a look at the first two Predator movies a little bit later after I finish my Marvel sort of MCU movie marathon. I'm going to be going on and doing those movies because obviously of this one I watched the new Alien, so I'm going to go back and take a look at all the older Aliens that I've watched just to celebrate the release of this one. So do expect that in the next couple of days, but we are doing a little bit of a Marvel marathon first, so it might be a little bit later than I would have liked for the upload schedule. But Alien Romulus is honestly a really good movie. I didn't expect a whole lot from this movie. I didn't expect it to be as good as it was, but it was better than I thought. It surpassed my expectations. It surpassed its limits. So, Alien Romulus is a 2024 movie that is about 1 hour and sort of 54 minutes, so it isn't too long, around about 2 hours, and it has a 7.3 out of 10 on IMDb and 80% on Rotten Tomatoes, and you can watch it on Sky, Amazon Prime, YouTube, or Google Play. Space colonies come face to face with the most terrifying life form in the universe while scavenging the deep ends of the direct space station. So how this sort of actually starts sets up the characters quite nicely. It shows the characters on a really shitty mining planet being treated really badly, being treated like slaves, and basically being told that they're not allowed to leave, they're not allowed to get flight permissions or flight plans, they have to stay and work for it, make sure that they're of value to the company before they can leave. They end up sort of seeing a space ship in the air that's been abandoned, that's going to crash into an asteroid belt in 45 hours. So they're going to go up there, loot it, get some space pods, and go to a nicer planet, which will actually sort of help them out. So they set off to the space station. They just up and leave. They go on the space station, and they basically find these cryopods, but they're like, oh shit, there's not enough fuel, let's go grab fuel. So they go to where the fuel is kept, but the door auto-locks, and they get stuck. And in getting stuck, they release all the face huggers from the incubation area. So the two main characters are being attacked by face huggers, and two of the girls from the ship, they leave the pregnant one on the ship because we just find out she's pregnant. The other two go to save the boys, and they open the door to the boys. One of them doesn't want to open the door because then the facehuggers will get out. And guess what? That one gets attacked by a facehugger first. And they turn on an old android to ask it for some help, and they upgrade their android, Andy, to help them out. And he does. He succeeds with forming a plan, and they get the facehugger off the girl. The facehugger and the girl, go their separate ways. The facehugger falls to its death, and her boyfriend both run to the ship and leave Andy behind, because Andy didn't want to let her back onto the ship because there wasn't a high chance of her survival. So those two go back on the ship with the pregnant girl, and then the facehugger bursts, well, not the facehugger, the alien, the xenomorph, bursts out of her chest like it normally does, and they crash the ship. The other three have to go find the ship, and the guy kind of gets alien blood on him, and his heart explodes from the acid blood, and he dies. Unfortunately, he was my favorite character. He was a little bit of a dick, but I liked him. He was quite comedic, but he was gone. And then the pregnant lady tries to get off the ship. She manages to get off the ship, but Andy won't open the door to save her, and she gets sort of kidnapped by the alien. She then gets taken. They go and find her, and when they find her, guess what? The brother, the boyfriend, I think it's the brother, he gets killed by a xenomorph. And then they send her to the ship whilst they go and kill every of the aliens. They kill the aliens, well, not all of them, but most of them. They then try and get back to the ship, and it's a little bit of a fight to get back to the ship, but they get back to the ship nonetheless. They fly away as that sort of crashes into the asteroid belt, and she was hooked up to a little bit of an alien, and her baby was transformed into a xenomorph human-esque thing, hybrid. She gives birth to it in a cryopod, and the baby kills her and Andy, and almost kills our main girl, but she sends it into the abyss of space, and then she puts herself in cryosleep, heads off to the planet they were off to before, but just as she does that, the ship loses all power. And that's when the credits start to roll. So, that's basically a quick run through of the movie. Honestly, it is really good. The set design is really nice, very reminiscent of the older Alien movies, very reminiscent of the old Alien ships. It sort of captures the Alien ships really nicely. I like that. The ships in Alien have a very specific design, and it captures it really well. It's called Alien Romulus because the ship is called Romulus, just in case you didn't know. But it has some incredible sort of foreshadowing and some sort of, like, seed planting and some really nice setups at the start where they're talking about the zero gravity, and then they use that to their advantage later on in the movie because one of them was complaining about the zero gravity at the start and how obnoxious it was and how it turned the sort of stomach upside down, and then at the end they turn it on to stop the alien sort of blood leaking out and opening the bottom of the ship and sucking all the oxygen out. So there's that. There's some really good setups in this movie which go quite a long way. Setting her up to be pregnant, and then at the end giving birth to a xenomorph. Incredible. I feel like it could have been done a little bit better. Gonna be honest, I'm pretty sure that baby should have died when she fell out of the ship because she slammed straight onto her stomach and then flipped around and landed straight on her back. Gonna be honest, I don't think that's too healthy for a baby. But who am I to say? The characters were quite interesting. They wasn't one note like I kind of expected them to. Yes, the movie did kill them all off, and it took an hour for them all to die. Not lying either. Like, an hour in, everyone died. And that just left the other hour for our characters to actually get on with a mission and do what they need to do. So, I knew most of them were going to die and not all of them were going to make it. I just didn't expect all of them to die within the first hour. I felt like that was quite quick to kill everyone off, and once they did start dying, they all died within like a half an hour period. It was like one after another. It wasn't like spread out throughout the entire first hour. It was like the second half hour of the hour. Like, it was the second half of the hour where they all just kicked the bucket. It was like a domino effect. Like, one thing led to another. It was a nice flow. It made sense. The story went on, and the consequences of your actions. The consequences. You gotta think about the consequences. And that's really cool. I liked the consequences. Because this movie is like a sequel, prequel, I don't actually know what it's supposed to be in the Alien franchise, but it is part of the Alien franchise, and there's been so many Alien movies, we now know what the xenomorphs look like, so they don't do the sort of the little keep the monster hidden to build the suspense. They show us the xenomorph, and they show it in a ton of sort of scenes. They show us them in bulk because that is the fear that builds up, because we already know what it is. They don't need to hide it from us. They like straight up show it in straight action, and that builds the suspense, that builds the fear, because we already know what it is, we already know what it's capable of. So showing us what it can do, and showing us it chasing these characters down, overwhelmingly large numbers of them hunting the main characters down, that's what builds the suspense, that's what builds the tension, that's what sort of creates the fear for this movie. I wouldn't call this a horror movie, I'm gonna be honest. It's more of an action sci-fi movie. There is one jump scare which actually got me, and I'm so glad that I finished my can of Dr. Pepper, because I threw it. I threw the fucking can at the wall, and I'm so glad that it was empty, otherwise it would have spilled everywhere and it would have pissed me off, and I would have not have had a positive time in this review, because that would have stained the review, like it would have stained my walls and also my bed. But it was a really nicely done jump scare, one that I genuinely didn't expect, and that's what horror movies are trying to do nowadays, because horror movies have become so predictable, so basic, like you can tell when stuff is going to happen, because that's just how, like, much horror movies have been out, and it's the same formula every time with how jump scares are set up to be the most effective, that people have become blind to them, become used to them, become sort of desensitized to them. So this movie was trying out something different, and scared the living shit out of me. It made you think that, like, the monster died. It made you think that the monster was gone. And I believed it. I fucking believed it. And it sort of did the sort of happy hope music. And I was like, sick, let's go. Movie's ending. She killed the monster. And then it fucking came out of nowhere. Sort of half destroyed. Sort of covered in blood and, like, holes in its body. And it scared the living shit out of me. I thought that jump scare was done really well compared to some of the other jump scares that I've seen in a couple of other movies. And the acting was really good as well. I think the actors were really nicely done. I know it was just a lot of screaming and pain, a lot of panicking, but that is hard to do. That is hard to act. But they all did it really well. They were constantly sort of on edge, and it made you feel on edge for them. And there was so many tension-building scenes, which they did really well. Most horror movies sort of break the tension with some comedy, or the comedy horror movies break the tension with comedy to try and sort of, you know, get you to laugh a little bit, try and sort of, you know, just ease you off a little bit and pretend like there is a jump scare coming, but that just ruins the tension and makes the jump scare less effective. And I don't really like that with sort of newer movies, but this one was really nicely done. The sort of effects on the xenomorph was really cool as well. For whatever reason, one had like a lightning electric thing in its head, and I then thought xenomorphs were robots for whatever reason. I don't know why, but that's what came to my mind when I saw, like, a little bit of electric in one of their brains. I don't know why there was electric in their brain, but it made me auto-assume they were robots, for whatever reason. So, yeah, xenomorphs are robots, not confirmed, but this movie is a solid, like, 7 out of 10. I probably wouldn't watch it again, but it is still really good for what it was.